surprised if you know what I mean. She disappeared along with all of my dreams. No pill is gonna fix me, no way. I'm gonna get her to come on back and kiss me and make it all better. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know she took it and tore the whole thing apart. So many pieces I don't know where to start. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know the way I'm feeling now. You could cut out whatever's left right out. Don't think I really need it anyhow. I've been trying to just forget her, so I had a few drinks. Don't need an anesthetic, cause I can't feel a thing. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know she took it and tore the whole thing apart. So many pieces I don't know where to start. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? Can't you tell there ain't a whole lot of time? So take a look inside, see what you find. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know she took it and tore the whole thing apart. So many pieces I don't know where to start. Hey doctor, hey doctor. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know she took it and tore the whole thing apart. So many pieces I don't know where to start. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? You know she took it and tore the whole thing apart. So many pieces I don't know where to start. Hey doctor, can you stitch up a broken heart? Hey doctor, hey doctor. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hey guys, one of the most powerful lines I've ever heard is Les Brown when he delivered in a speech at the Georgia Dome. You are the one. You are the one that's going to make your true happiness, fulfillment, peace, success, whatever form you want, happen. It's all up to you. And we have to look at ourselves as being the one. Because ultimately, as Stephen Covey has said, we are all just a one. But we are one that's unique, that's individual. So we got to change the paradigm, the thoughts, the way we look at ourselves. We're not mediocre. There's nothing mediocre about you. We're not like everyone else. You have to start changing that thinking process in your mind if you're going to truly be happy and fulfilled in your life. You have to realize you're the one. You're the one that's going to make it happen. It's all up to you. It's not going to happen without you. Have a great day, everyone.
And in 1925, physicist said that our vision of a universe split into an invisible energy realm and a material physical realm was a total illusion, that everything is energy. The whole thing, there is no matter in this world. And to summarize what the meaning was, a famous physicist in 1930 by the name of Sir James Jeans said, "We have been led to believe that the universe is a great machine, when in fact it is more a great thought." And the reality about that was quantum physicists have established since 1925 that consciousness is the primary mechanism of creativity of the world that we experience. In fact, a more recent article in the journal Nature, which is like a scientific mainstream journal, was an article by a quantum physicist at Johns Hopkins University by the name of Richard Conn Henry. And his article was entitled "The Mental Universe." I know the last two lines in the article because they were like so powerful. And here's what the conclusion of the article was. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. And this is so exciting because science is coming out saying it mental and spiritual. It's like, oh my God. But that's the quantum physics part. And the reality about it, why is that so important, as Sadhvijay had just mentioned, it's our thoughts that are manifesting this world. Now you could say that's a spiritual thing, and now I say not only is it spiritual, now it is fundamental basic science of the universe. And it says then the thoughts are creative. Well, if the thoughts are creative, then who is having the thought? And you start to realize, I'm having the thought. Well, then the truth is simple, as Richard Conn Henry said, you are creating this world with your mental activity and your spirituality combined. And then all of a sudden it says, well, then if I'm creating the world, then my original belief that when things didn't go right, I was a victim. The universe wasn't supporting me. You know, it's like, oh, I try so hard and the universe is not giving me things. It turns 180 degrees around. And it basically says this, we are creating this world. And then I say, your mind is creating this world.
So I listened to this clip, and I didn't know where to take it. Normally when I do these Espresso clips, I've got my own set of thinking, my own ideas, my own kind of thought process I want to add on to it. Some things are really easy, some things I've talked about before, and I struggle with, okay, what's a new story I can tell so I'm not telling the same stories over and over and over again. But there was just something about this one that maybe I'm not as familiar with Bruce Lipton's world or work. Nothing immediately came to mind. And as I sat here in the car with my dogs, trying to think of what to say, I realized, you know what? The best thing to say is just to be honest and say, I don't know what to say. And then the next thought that came to mind was, I should do an interview with Bruce Lipton. And it's funny the way the mind works like that. You know, I think when great ideas come to you, first off, when ideas come to you, think of them as great ideas, that they're given to you, that they're for you, that you can create those things. A lot of times we come up with ideas and immediately reject them. So my first thought was, I don't know what I'm going to say about this video. So that led to me sharing, I don't know what I'm going to say about this video. And then my second thought was, I should have Bruce Lipton on for us to talk about it, which immediately caused me some heart palpitations because I'm always afraid of delivering a bad interview. I'm always scared that it's not going to be good. And especially when it's somebody outside my field and I don't have clarity on it, I struggle with the interview and the preparation because I don't want to ask questions. You know, if I'm doing an interview with somebody I know and I know their work deeply and we can have fun and have some great stories, I kind of know where to take it. I never know what their answer is going to be. I'm always asking questions I'm genuinely curious about, not ones that I know they have a staged answer for. But I don't even know with Bruce where I would lead off. But I'm curious, right? And my fear would be that I don't know how to articulate myself enough to get a good question out, that it's a fruitful conversation. And that fear cannot be a good enough reason. And so my takeaway from this is I'm going to go and try to get a hold of Bruce Lipton and do some kind of interview for my channel. And then hopefully he says yes. And then I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to ask him, and hopefully not completely embarrass myself in the interview. So this is a slightly different take on an espresso, but I think showing that side is helpful. So the two lessons for me are, one, when you're struggling, show it. When you don't know what to say, show that. For a lot of people who are struggling to make content out there, and you're struggling on your first episode, just share. I'm struggling. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting started. Here's my mission. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. And share your thought process. If you don't know what to share, or you don't have a solid opinion, share your thought process. Share your thinking. Share that you're frustrated. If you're struggling, share that you're struggling. If you're overwhelmed, show me that you're overwhelmed. Honestly, sometimes those are the best posts because it shows that you're human. It doesn't detract from you being an expert at what you're great at. And then the second thing is, the ideas that come to you are great. Trust them. Trust those great ideas. The fact that my first instinct was I should do an interview with him. Now I need to commit to doing it and take immediate action on it. So as soon as I stop pressing record on this, I'm going to message Bo, who does all my bookings. He's awesome. He has his own business. If anybody needs bookings for guests for their shows, let me know, and we can intro you to Bo. I'm going to say, Bo, how do we get Bruce Lipton on our channel for an interview? I don't even know what we're going to talk about yet, but I'll figure it out. Let's get him on. So Different Espresso, I'd love to know your thoughts. I love your take, either your take on what he said, and you can explain it to me, or your take on what I said. Give me some feedback. Put it down in the comments below.
We could be essentially
Sigue el tutorial. Let me see you do it. Let me see you.
Hey guys, in our top 10 rules for success today, Les Brown reminds us to go all out. And we have to go all out on whatever it is that we want in our life. We have to stand up to ourselves and not let our emotions control us, because we're going to feel things. It's a hard process when we go on this path to finding our deep fulfillment, happiness, and freedom. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but we have to go all out. We have to say to ourselves, there's nothing more important than this. I'm going to make this happen. No matter how many times I'm defeated, no matter how many times I get hurt, no matter how many times I feel angry, frustrated, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make it happen. And I'm never going to stop. We have to show that determination. So you have to go all out. But there's nothing more important than you. And you have to see yourself that way. That's where it all starts. Have a great day, everyone.
Scrolling through. And some people, you can literally hear them growing.
The first thing, and this may be the most important thing and the most overlooked thing ever, I have not used an alarm to wake up in over a decade. So you've got to remember your brain needs a certain amount of sleep. And if you don't get that amount of sleep, you can actually test the cognitive decline. So step number one is really treating sleep like one of the most important things you're going to do. You want to get to bed early so that you don't have to be pressured to set an alarm to make it to work on time or whatever the case may be. So if you've got to go to bed at 8 p.m., go to bed at 8 p.m. I know how terrifying that sounds to you, but I'm going to have to be honest. If you're not prepared to prioritize sleep, then you're not prepared to do the things you need to do to be successful.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best belief life and learn the 7 powerful routines that will destroy your laziness. Enjoy. Routine number 2, take a walk with Brendan Burchard.
People ask, okay, what else do you do in the mornings? I will tend to take a walk in the morning if I feel I need to do that. And no matter what, I take 2 walks every single day, either morning or afternoon, and then one at night, preferably after dinner, to just like settle myself down, to just like move my body around, get outside in the dark, and just feel like that evening come on me so I'm ready for bed.
Routine number 3, nourish your body with Gabrielle Bernstein.
I have a glass of hot water with lemon. I have sometimes a green smoothie. Sometimes I'll have cereal. I'll have like a brown rice cereal. And I'll eat before I caffeinate. And this sounds like a sort of trivial thing, but it actually is a very important part of my morning ritual. Eating before I caffeinate is so crucial because whether I'm having green tea or a cup of coffee, by the way, I am back on coffee. That's been about a year now back on. I just couldn't live without it. And so coming to that caffeine after eating is so crucial, particularly trying to eat some fats in the morning. I'll take sometimes a scoop of coconut oil, or I'll have, some protein of some kind, but really trying to give my body some nourishment before I caffeinate, because anyone knows if you caffeinate on an empty stomach, you're just going to spike your adrenals, your stress levels, your cortisol levels will be raised, and you begin your day with this frantic energy, and then very quickly you'll tank. And I am a fan of sustainable energy. I've become recently a big fan of the bulletproof coffee. So if you drink coffee, maybe consider putting a lot of coconut milk, or they put butter in the coffee. I'm dairy free, so I put in coconut oil, and putting some kind of fat in the caffeine to just really allow it to take you on that sustainable energy rather than spiking your stress levels.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Routine number 4, do what matters with Lewis Howes.
This morning, I got up early, I breathed into some meditation, I made my bed, and I did a hard workout. And now I came here to the studio to talk about this. And for me, I feel confident. I feel like, man, I've accomplished so much before 10 a.m., right? I've already done so much. All the things that I care about, I've done, and I feel more confident. So this is what's powerful. This is what's available for you, is gaining. If you feel like you're not a confident person, if you feel like you doubt yourself, if you feel like you're unsure of yourself or you're insecure, spend time for an hour, hour and a half in the morning doing some of these things and trying them, doing things that are uncomfortable for you. You're going to build confidence in the first hour and it'll go into the rest of your day. So I'm far more confident in my skills and abilities as a creator, as a partner, as a friend, and as a leader, because I know I put in the things that I care about first thing.
Routine number 5, think and strategize with Patrick Bet-David.
I wake up generally at 4:30, 4:45 when I have training sessions at 5. If I have a training session with my trainers at 6, I'm up 5:15. This morning I had a training session at 6. I can no longer help myself. It's a 4:45 wake up. I'll have 4:45, I'll wake up, I'll check my email, I'll go through all the information that I have on my email. I'll typically listen to an audiobook while I'm driving or walking around. I will do my daily affirmations on what I tell myself. It's been one of my rituals for a long, long time. I have my affirmations laminated all over the wall. It'll be all over my shower wall, everywhere, on what I tell myself. Then I go to the gym, I do my routine, I do my workout in the morning, weights. Right after that, one of the things that I've been doing recently that I love, let me tell you, this is a very fascinating thing. If you have the luxury of doing this, I'm 6'5", 240, so my back and my knees feel it a lot, especially when I was in the Army. We used to ruck march with 50-pound backpacks is what we used to do, right? So cryotherapy, Paul, why don't we put the video up so they can see what it looks like. Cryotherapy is something I've started doing recently. You literally stand there with no shirt on, no clothes on, and you stand there, this thing starts and it goes all the way down to minus 240. And the system I use, there's many different ones. These machines are around $100,000. It goes to minus 240 for 3 minutes. By the time you're done, what happens to the blood, the entire body, flexible. It feels like $1,000,000 and your body gets shocked is what it does. Now I do this at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it works very, very effectively. If you can't do that at your gym, it's great. Even if you do it once a week, I highly recommend it for you to try cryotherapy. Good breakfast. You gotta have breakfast because that's your gas tank. So remember, if you go and do 10 miles, 20 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles in your car, you need to go to a gas station. Breakfast meals are your gas stations. You need to go fill up the tank. Then I do my thinking. These are the times that I do my thinking. I do my strategy sessions. I do my ideation. I think about what I'm working on, my next project, what needs help, what needs to be improved, who do I need to call, what are my conversations going to sound like, what am I going to do with this, what am I going to do with that? So it's thinking, a lot of thinking and strategy, and praying, definitely praying and meditating, catching up on news. If my kids wake up early, they'll typically wake up at 6:45-ish. I'm typically gone by then, but I'll play with them when I get home. And so that's typically what my days look like in the morning.
Rule number 6, adopt the 2-minute rule with James Clear.
I encourage people to build a habit that takes 2 minutes or less to do. So you take whatever you're trying to do, but read 30 books a year, becomes read 1 page, or do yoga 4 days a week, becomes take out my yoga mat. And sometimes when I mention that idea, people resist it a little bit because they're like, okay, buddy, I know the real goal isn't just to take my yoga mat out. I know I'm actually trying to do the workout. So if this is some kind of mental trick, then why would I fall for it, basically? Well, I tell the story of this guy, Mitch, that you mentioned, this guy who I talk about him in Atomic Habits. He went to the gym. He's lost over 100 pounds, kept it off for more than a decade. And when he first started going to the gym, he wouldn't stay for longer than 5 minutes. He had this little rule. He had to leave after 5 minutes. So he'd get in the car, drive to the gym, get out, do half an exercise, get back in the car, drive home. And it sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds silly. You're like, obviously he's not going to get the guy the results that he wants. But if you take a step back, you realize that he was mastering the art of showing up, right? He was becoming the type of person that went to the gym 4 days a week, even if it was only for 5 minutes. And this gets us to that deeper truth about habits that you just mentioned, this idea that a habit must be established before it can be improved. It has to become the standard in your life before you can optimize it and scale it up into something more. And, I don't know why we do this. Like, we get very all or nothing about our habits. We're so focused on finding the perfect business idea or the best workout program or the ideal diet plan that we spend all our time theorizing and researching and looking for a better way. And instead, if we could just master the art of showing up, even if in the beginning it was less than what you had hoped to do, you're establishing a foothold. You're building some small progress that you can advance off of. And it reminds me of Ed Lattimore has that great quote where he says, the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. And man, there are a lot of things in life that are like that. Like the hardest part is getting started. The hardest part is establishing the routine, even if it's a lower level baseline than what you ultimately hope to achieve. But the reality is, if you can't become the type of person who masters the art of showing up, even if it's just for 5 minutes, then it doesn't matter how good the plan is. It doesn't matter how great your theory is. And so I think the 2-minute rule pushes back on that perfectionist tendency a little bit and just encourages you to master the art of showing up.
And routine number 7, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is plan your day the night before with Brian Tracy.
Few hours of the day are more important than the early morning hours. One of the great thinkers said the first hour is the rudder of the day. It sets the tone for everything else that happens. These hours, when you first wake up, set the tone for the rest of the day, affecting your mindset and productivity during all the hours that follow them. Plan your day the night before. Planning out your day the night before may not exactly be part of your morning routine, but it is a great way to get your day started off right. In fact, I was just reading the story of a very successful self-made multi-millionaire, multi-business developer who said every single morning he starts off by reading his goals. Every morning. He never misses a single day. By planning out what you want to accomplish the night before, you can start off each day with a plan in mind rather than waking up unsure what it is you want to tackle first. Plan out your morning routine as well as to what you want to do when that routine is complete. Then wake up the next morning and put that plan into action.
Your brain does
ella no se regala flores, tampoco se dedica una canción. Y ahora vienes arrepentida a refugiarte de este amor. Tu vida es un callejón sin salida. Y en mi vida, mamacita, tú no tienes cabida. Tú en mi vida ya no vas más. Yo para atrás yo no quiero mirar. Óyeme bien lo que te digo. Porque ni loco yo vuelvo contigo. Sí, cómo no.
Morning, guys. As we live, laugh, and love our way to this path of infinite mind wealth, I want to share with you my personal story of what's happening every single day I'm working on this, and I hope this helps you. I am becoming more and more grateful and just feel so blessed for being on this path. I'm realizing that all my friends, family, colleagues, people I've worked with, all the human beings I've ever interacted with, they're the ones that have given me this opportunity. I am so grateful for them. And I'm starting to also appreciate deeply some of the greatest thinkers that I'm learning about who have come and gone. They're no longer here, but their energy lives on in the effect that it's having on me and has had on me. And I think to myself, wow, it's amazing how no matter what, whether we're here or not, we have such an impact on each other and we need each other. And so I'm reminded of that every day and I'm becoming more and more reverent. And I just wanted to share that with you. Have a great day, everyone.
The one thing you need if you want to move higher is a greater awareness. People are not earning $100,000 a year because they want to earn $100,000 a year. They're earning $100,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $100,000 a month. People aren't alone and lonely because they enjoy being alone and lonely. They're alone and lonely because they're not aware of how to build meaningful relationships. People don't struggle all of their commercial career because they enjoy struggling. They're struggling because they're not aware of how to knock those blocks down that are all inside. It's never outside. It's never another person. It's never a condition or a circumstance. It's always lack of awareness. This is such beautiful information. I've been living with it for a long time. I don't even know how you'd live without it. In fact, I don't think you can. You merely exist. And unfortunately, that's the way most people go through life. Do you see, our educational institutions is not giving us this kind of information. They really don't. They really believe the secret is read the book, remember what's in the book, and be able to repeat it. Answer the questions, more right than wrong. You'll pass, you get the degree. Well, we've got people graduating from some of the most prestigious universities in the world every year with multiple degrees that are having difficulty finding work, that are broke. How does that happen? And yet you'll find other people who are functionally illiterate, they can neither read nor write, that are earning millions. How do we account for this? You're going to find that out. as you study this. It's got nothing to do with anything outside of ourselves. Education isn't answering what's in the book. Education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw from within. Remember I said, everything's already here, omnipresent? That's within us. Madame Montessori was right. Napoleon Hill was right. Carnegie knew the right question. Hill knew how to answer it. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? That's your question. You got to make a decision.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Bob Proctor, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, desire to grow.
What's the thing that you still want to learn and understand that you feel like, you know what, I haven't fully grasped this concept or idea, and I really want to get to another level?
Well, I'm always wanting to get to another level. Hopefully, I'm at a higher level today than I was yesterday. I'm in here around 5:30 every morning studying.
Wow.
That's how I start my day here. Well, you see, there is no end to the growth. You always want to grow. So you're created in God's image. Now, there's a problem with this. Because we're raised on our physical senses, we grow up, and what we've done is had God created in our image, in our mind. Not that we're creating God's image. We're taught that we created God in our image. So now we're trying to figure out, how can the man be omnipresent? How can that person be everywhere? And because we're locked in on a physical level, we get lost. When we understand that you have infinite potential, there is no top. There's no beginning, no end. See, when it comes to School of Greatness, there's no finish line.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to personal development, there is no finish line. So how can you tell how well you're doing? By the results you're getting. By their fruit. By their fruit, you'll know them. By the results they're getting. If they're not getting the results, they don't know. So if you're going to get a mentor, get somebody that's getting the results.
Yeah.
Or you don't want them.
Rule number 3, put money to use.
You see here on page 6, it says money is a servant. It's a servant. Now, there's a myth about money. Says another myth about money, like you accept money, is that it only comes as a result of luck or good fortune. Well, of course, that is really silly. That's not true at all, but that's the concept that a lot of people operate with. Okay? Now, if you move over onto page 7, we're talking about money's got to circulate. It's not only a servant, you got to keep it moving. I have some money here in my pocket. I keep it in a little envelope, and this stuff here is money. The truth is, this represents money. Now, this used to be paper. Now I think it's plastic. You know, use it as a fan. But this is, it's a servant. And you can put this to work. You got to keep it circulating. Now, we tell a story in here about Mr. Chapman. Now, Mr. Chapman was an interesting guy. He lived on the street that I lived on as a little boy. And my brother and I had a paper route, and we sold papers to the people on that street. We had 300 customers, went right from Kingston Road to the Lake Ontario. And almost every house we had as a customer. Mr. Chapman had a big house not too far from our house, up on a hill. It was an old house. And one day, Mr. Chapman, we used to feel sorry for him. He was hunchback. He was a little man. He used to push a little cart around, and he collected junk. His wife was a tall, thin lady, and she always wore just skimpy clothes, like a cotton dress with maybe a little coat, running shoes, and she would be off up the street. She went to clean houses or clean offices. We thought they were really poor. Well, one day we opened the paper, we went up the corner to get the papers, and when we got the delivery of the papers, it was headlines that Mr. Chapman had died. It was a headline in the Toronto Star. They found $100,000 in a jar in the house. Here he is collecting junk, and he had $100,000 in a jar in the house. Now, I just looked up that up this morning. That's equal to $1,087,798 in today's dollars. That's what $100,000 in 1947 would have been. In today's dollars, it'd be over $1 million, $1,088,000. He had all this money, and he had it in a jar. It was serving no one. It wasn't circulating. And we were shocked that he even had it. So what we've got to understand is that saving it like that is silly. Like here, the money that's in this envelope in my pocket, it's useless as long as it's in an envelope in my pocket. It does no one any good. You may be saying, why are you keeping it there? It won't stay in, it won't stay there very long. I'll have it circulating in a very short period of time. Now, if you come down to the bottom of page 9, these are just basics. We're talking about here about a prosperity consciousness exercise. Now that we have touched upon some of the characteristics of money, let us turn briefly to a simple technique which you can begin using immediately to start attracting the amount of money that you desire. Now think of that. You can literally attract to you the amount of money you desire. You've got to ask yourself, where do I stand with money?
Rule number 4, stop worrying.
First of all, the cause of fear is ignorance. That is the cause of fear. And so if you follow the ignorance, it doesn't start out as fear. The ignorance starts out in a conscious level as doubt and worry. Mm-hmm. That's on a conscious level. We're doubting or we're worrying. Then we take whatever image comes into our consciousness of the doubt and the worry, and we turn it over to our emotional mind. That's what causes the fear. Well, that fear then has to be expressed through the body, through the only instrument it can be expressed through, our physical body. It sets up a vibration known as anxiety. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is not expressed. Anxiety becomes suppressed. Ooh. We suppress it. And the suppression then turns to depression, which turns to disease, which turns to decay. You see, you're talking about a track a person gets on. It's a very negative track. It's ignorance, don't worry, fear, anxiety, suppression, depression, disease, disintegration. Now, the polar opposite of all that, the opposite of ignorance is knowledge. There's only one way to get to knowledge, and that is to study. Now, unfortunately, school didn't do the job that it was designed to do for most of us. Mm-hmm. School should teach us to love to study.
Not to dread studying and homework and tests.
They should teach us to love it. Yeah. Because study leads to the opposite of doubt and worry, which is understanding. See, it's study that leads to understanding. We understand how to handle the fear. It's understanding that enables us to cause us to understand where the fear starts. The understanding, then, we want to say, what do we understand? We want to understand this whole universe operates by law. One of the laws is the law of opposite. The opposite of doubt and worry is understanding. Now, if the doubt and worry leads to fear, what's understanding leads to? Understanding leads to faith. The faith leads to expression, well-being, and expression. It's not depression. It's not suppression. It's not anxiety. The faith leads to well-being. The well-being then is expression, acceleration, because we're at ease. There's not dis-ease. So you're dealing with polar opposites. There's two different sides to things. And when we understand that, our world starts to change. It's by understanding that we learn how to deal with these pandemics when they hit. Mm-hmm. And they will hit. There will be others. There always has been, all down through history. If you look back, there's been things like this happen in the past. And unfortunately, the masses are sort of paralyzed by it.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, adopt good habits.
It said no amount of reading or memorizing is going to make you successful. It's the understanding and application of wise stuff that can. You're going to study this. I study it every day, for at least an hour, sometimes more, but at least an hour. It's a habit. Habit's something you do unconsciously. You don't even spend any time thinking about it. You just do it. You get dressed by habit. You shower, comb, wash your hair. Habit. Do you know good habits automatically transform our life?
Rule number 6, discover who you are.
The purpose of a goal is not to get, it's not to reach the goal. It's the awareness that you develop as you go after it. You're learning who you are. It's becoming aware of who you are.
Yeah.
I was in a seminar years and years ago, and there was a speaker, Bill Gove. Bill Gove was considered the Frank Sinatra of public speakers. He was incredible. He had a handheld mic, and he's looking at the audience, and he said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. He said, I better know who me is.
Rule number 7, plant your idea.
So you're building an idea and you're planting it in universal intelligence. Now, when you do that, what you want to understand is that you planted that idea here. That idea then is planted in universal intelligence, so it's drawing from anywhere, anything that's in harmony with it. You see, this is a vibration. It's a frequency. And we have put ourselves on a specific frequency. When you hold that idea, when you're emotionally involved, that must be expressed with and through you. Whatever you need is in the universe, and this idea is going to attract it to you. Because the idea controls the vibration that you're in. The vibration you're in controls how you act, but it also controls what you attract. This is very important you get this. Your subconscious mind is like universal intelligence. And that idea then is on a specific frequency. Hold on. We're spiritual beings. This is the spiritual side of you. Now, everything's spirit, the intellect and the physical. But when you plant the idea here, it's planted on a specific frequency. It's almost like when I phone somebody, what I'm doing is I'm tuning in on a particular frequency. And they're on that frequency. And when I press a number, their phone rings. Doesn't matter where they are. They could be anywhere in the world. You see, when it comes to universal intelligence, you eliminate all time and space. There's no such thing as time and space. Everything's in the now. Everything is in the now. And it's important that we understand that. And when we understand it, good things start to happen to us. Okay? Now, that idea will attract to it anything that's in harmony with it. So whatever you need will come to you. But it won't come to you before you need it. And we're very impatient and we want to do this part before we get this part done. You got to do things in the order. You see, this part is operating by law. It's operating by law because it's universal intelligence, and the law is perpetual transmutation of energy. That idea instantly begins to move into form. And it attracts whatever is required, but it also causes you to act the way you have to act. So it's the action and attraction that ultimately produces the result. How long does it take for that to manifest? We don't know. That's governed by a law called law of gender. That law decrees that all things have a gestation or an incubation period.
Rule number 8, don't think in reverse.
I want you to stop and think of something you really want. That may be the thoughts on your mind frequently that you really can't get. Now, let's clearly understand this is what I've got on the screen here is what we do far too often. Far too often. We let the bank balance control our head. Now, I never let that happen. Do you know why? I never look at the balance. I've never balanced a checkbook in my life. And I don't intend to ever do it. I don't want to do it. I think it's terrible work. I don't want to do it. Now, does somebody have to do it? Absolutely. And I've got people working with me. Sandy Gallagher is a genius at this. She's just absolute genius. And so I like her being able to do what she's a genius at. I don't want to do it. I don't want to let results control my thinking. I prefer to do this. Now look here. I'm going to take this, and this is what I'd suggest you do, and rub this out. Rub present results out. And then start thinking here. We know that there's a power that's flowing into our consciousness. We know that. And this power, as it flows in, it just is. It's neither positive or negative. It just is. And we can make out of it anything we want. I've got the idea here. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm going to show you what it is. Mikey and I are going to discuss it some more. We get this idea here. Now, she's going to take this to the marketing team, and they're going to start talking about it. Now, let's understand this. You can do what I'm suggesting here. And when you do this, you then become, this is you here, you become like you're magnetized. And you just, it's like, whatever idea you hold, you impress upon your subjective mind. This is the part that you've got to try and get straight. This part here, okay? Your subconscious mind is part of everything. Everything's hooked together. Remember I say the levels of vibration, there's no line of demarcation, they're all joined together. Each one is hooked up to the one above and the one below. That's everything in the universe is connected like that. Now, and you can change it. You have the creative ability to change it. You see this here? Here's an hourglass. The sand in the glass is running here. It never stops. The glass that's holding the sand used to be sand. Now think what I'm saying. The glass that's holding the sand used to be sand. But we have learned how to alter the molecular structure, change the vibratory rate of the energy that we call sand, and we can turn it into glass. Then we can mold it whatever way we want, and we can make an hourglass out of it. It's energy. The energy that we call that is glass. We call this sand because of the vibration it's in. We call this wood because of the vibration it's in. Okay? We call this skin. We call this hair. We call this cloth. It's all energy and it vibrates. Everything is hooked together because every frequency is connected to the one above and the one below. When you get emotionally involved with an idea, and you really get it to sink into your consciousness, you move your body into a vibration, but the mind body is in the vibration, and you are in sync intellectually, emotionally, and physically. The consciousness and the subconscious and the body all in the same vibration. You have a strong attractive force set up. And that strong attractive force is going to start attracting to you from every side of the universe whatever is necessary to manifest that idea in physical form or in results. That is the result you want to see, not the one that exists now. When you look at the present result, that's thinking in reverse, and that's what this chapter 9 is about. Most people think in reverse. Do not think in reverse. Quit looking backwards. It's a waste of time and a waste of energy, and it's very destructive for your own future.
Rule number 9, be willing to do it.
The only criteria you have to have when you set a goal is, do you want it? Do you want it? Doesn't matter how you're going to do it. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from. I once heard a cute story where the Maharishi, when he was taking transcendental meditation or decided he was going to take it to the world, one of his close associates said, "Where's the money going to come from?" He said, "Wherever it is right now." I always thought it was such a beautiful answer because the truth. Everything you need, everything you want is already here. Nothing is created or destroyed. I didn't dream this up. It's the way it is. All science, all theology tell us that. The way to get to the moon was already here, always here. When President John Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun, who's considered the father of space travel, what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a man to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth. Von Braun answered him in 5 words: the will to do it. The will to do it. Will is a mental faculty that gives us the ability to concentrate. You got to concentrate on what you want. That's all you can concentrate on. And that will keep you on the frequency that you have to be on to attract everything that you need to get there. This is so important. You see, I believe decision where it all starts. It's where it all started for Napoleon Hill. It all started when Carnegie asked him, "Are you prepared to dedicate the rest of your life to an idea for which you'll probably receive no material compensation for at least 20 years? How would you answer that? You see, he didn't know how to do that. He didn't even believe he could. Do you know what I found? When you set a goal, you don't have to believe it. If you keep repeating it, you'll come to believe it. If you tell yourself a lie often enough, you'll believe it. Way back in 1900, William James from Harvard, he said, "Believe, and your belief will create the fact." So true, and so misunderstood. So what do you want? Compare your dream to Napoleon Hill's idea. Just compare it for a moment. Your idea is probably small by comparison, but if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know where the money's coming from, if you don't know where the help's going to come from, it'll probably seem large. When I took my pen and I sat down and I wrote, I would build a company that operated all over the world. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I certainly didn't have the finances to it. I didn't have the help. I didn't even have an assistant. I was just me in my den writing on a pad. Do you know something? Today, I own a company along with Sandy Gallagher, who is my business partner, and we operate all over the world. These aren't accidents. I'm just an ordinary guy that's doing what the public would consider something extraordinary. But it's not extraordinary to me, and it's not going to be to you when you start to understand these principles and incorporate them into your life. I mentioned we want to build schools in Africa for kids that have never seen a school. And so we're building them. There's many things we want to do. We do them all. I never wonder if I can do something. I just ask myself, do I want to? That's the way I think God meant us to live. I believe we're doing God's work. Somebody say, what's God's work? Well, if God's the creator, then God's work would be creation. We've been given the mental faculties to create. We've been created in God's image. Somewhere along the line, way back when, somebody got that mixed up. They thought when they said you're creating God's image, that God was created in their image, so they're looking for a man on a cloud. There is no man on a cloud. But I'm going to tell you something. You got some phenomenal stuff locked up inside of you. You bring it to the surface, you can have anything you want. It's a great way to live.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is have fun.
The world is mine, it can be yours, my friend, whenever you pretend. Pretend you're happy when you're blue. It isn't very hard to do. And you'll find happiness without an end whenever you pretend.